Top of the morning to you, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of Silverstones. My name is Jordan Headley, and I will be your host for today's show, where we're going to be talking about what the F is going on in crypto and Bitcoin and the financial world. This is the second segment of 21 Milli, which is going to be our crypto news show here that we're going to be doing once a week. And 21 Milli stands for 21 million, which is the fixed supply, the maximum supply of Bitcoin that there will ever be. And so we're going to be covering a bunch of different topics on this news show, but it's going to be at a very high level. We're not going to be talking about prices. We're not going to be talking about the charts, the technical analysis. If you're looking for that, you're going to have to find a different channel. This is for people who are just trying to get into Bitcoin right now, trying to learn and trying to stay up to date with, as I said, what's going on in the world of crypto, the crazy world of crypto. And it has been crazy. And believe it or not, we're actually not going to be talking about any of the FTX stuff today. I just feel like there's enough people talking about it right now, and I don't need to be just another guy saying the same thing. I will, however, direct you towards a guy named, I'm going to share the screen here, a guy named Saifedean Ammous. I think that's how you say it anyways. He's the author of the Bitcoin Standard, which is what a lot of people call the Bitcoin Bible. It's a great book that talks about the origins of money, how it's been used in the past, government intervention in the past, and then gets to how Bitcoin can solve all those problems in the real world. So this is what I watched last night. It's called FTX Beyond Ponzi. So he breaks down basically the whole timeline of the events, who was involved, the implications, his opinion on what should happen going forward. And so, like I said, I just wanted to point you in that direction. If you're interested in a very good, in-depth discussion on the FTX situation, you can find it on Saifedean's YouTube channel. So that's all we're going to talk about with FTX, but we're going to use FTX as a good segue into this next meme. This is one I came across today. Maybe my new favorite meme, because I can relate majorly to this. My jar would be filling to the brim, I think, of telling people not your keys, not your coins. So it shows the swear jar there, and then it shows the jar of telling people not your keys, not your coins jar. I am tired of saying this for sure, but I'm not going to stop saying it ever on this channel, because I think it is absolutely the most important thing we can do right now. But I do want to talk about a few different things that we can use to keep our Bitcoin off of the exchanges. I've talked about the Exodus wallet. I have a few videos on the channel explaining how to set up an Exodus wallet, how to move Bitcoin into there. So you could start there. Just go to the App Store and download Exodus, EXODUS wallet. It's great. It has a ton of different cryptos that you can store within Exodus. I also use a wallet called the Moon wallet, which is MUUN wallet. It's specific to Bitcoin, which I actually like, but it's a lot more limited. If like I said, if you have a bunch of different cryptos that you want to keep on a private wallet, Moon wallet's probably not the best one. But if you have Bitcoin that you're just looking to get off of the exchanges, I highly recommend the Moon wallet as well. So both those wallets, you'll have to set up your private key, back up the wallet. And the point of that is basically if you lose your phone or whatever you're keeping your wallet on, that's a way to restore the wallet with the private key. I'm also going to talk about the Trezor wallet, which is an external device that plugs into your laptop and serves as a cold wallet, they call it. So anything that's connected to the internet is called a hot wallet. Anything that's disconnected from the internet is considered a cold storage or a cold wallet. I've used the Trezor myself. I bought it directly from the Trezor website. I've recently stopped using it though. And the main reason is because you're still plugging it into a laptop, which if you're using it for day-to-day use, in my opinion, has been corrupted. So on the internet, these websites, software, they track you pretty well. So if you're on Amazon, you're on Gmail, Facebook, anything, these all have tracking software built in. And I just don't trust the laptop that I'm using to plug in a device. Even though you're disconnecting it afterwards, I still don't really trust the connection there. So I've recently stopped using the Trezor. It was about $400 to buy from the UK. if you are going to be purchasing something like a Trezor or a Ledger, something that disconnects and is considered cold storage, make sure you do it from the actual website itself. So don't order one from Amazon. Don't buy a used one from the local classifieds or eBay, whatever it may be. Make sure you're getting the device directly from the manufacturer, because there are people, bad actors, who could get in between there and load some of their own software onto there and eventually extract your private key. So just be careful. The Trezor is still a lot better than holding your keys on an exchange, but I think that there are better ways to do it. So I wouldn't say I'd recommend Trezor, but it is definitely an option. And if you're going to be going that route, make sure you order the Trezor or the Ledger directly from the manufacturer, the website themselves. And if you really want to get, I wouldn't say if you want to take things to the next level, I should say, I use a crypto only laptop, and I got it from a company out of St. Louis, where they basically take the laptop, they remove all the side doors, all the backdoor softwares that have the ability to track you across the internet, I guess you'd say. And you don't use this laptop for anything other than cryptos. So you're not going to be doing any browsing on here. You're not going to be checking email. You're not going to be doing any online shopping. These laptops are specifically for crypto. I leave mine completely disconnected from the internet. Don't even connect it to Wi-Fi. But like I said, that's kind of the next level of security if you wanted to take it there. I usually recommend that for people who have over $5,000 or $10,000 worth of crypto. You just want to make sure that it's safe, and it's as safe as possible. And so the crypto only laptop is the top of that chain, I think. And so if you have any questions about the wallets, hot or cold, external, or even the crypto laptop, just send me a message or an email and I'll send you in the right direction. Let's move on. ShakePay. So yesterday I talked about ShakePay in my video that I did, and how important it was, I thought, that the CEO send out an email. This isn't the official email that was sent out. I thought that was too long and too wordy, but this is ShakePay Twitter account, and they just kind of have summarized what the CEO said. So they said that, in short, the funds that you had, the Bitcoin that you had on ShakePay, are safe. ShakePay has no exposure to FTX, FTT, which is FTX's crypto token, or Alameda Research, which is the company that was affiliated or associated with FTX and was doing all their laundering or creative accounting, we'll call it. But so the second point here that I wanted to point out, and most importantly, is that ShakePay, the mouse isn't working very good here. ShakePay holds the customer's funds one-to-one. I mentioned this in the video yesterday as well. They don't use the fractional reserve system like our banks do or the other exchanges do. So basically, if you deposit $1 into ShakePay, they're not using it for any leverage, any other financing, or any other projects to invest in. It's one-to-one. They either keep it in a Canadian bank or a Canadian financial institution, or if you have Bitcoin, they hold it in a Coinbase Pro custody, which is cold storage. So I absolutely love that. I just wanted to drive home that I 100% trust ShakePay. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's listening to this, who I consult with, friends, family, whatever. And this was just more assurance over my recommendations to people for using ShakePay to buy and sell Bitcoin. Moving on, another tweet that I saw this morning, and this was from Rizzo, but it's talking about Hal Finney. And Hal Finney was one of the OGs of Bitcoin, not crypto. Hal Finney was one of the OGs of Bitcoin. He was part of the team, I think, that helped develop the software code for Bitcoin. And although there's a lot of mystique, I guess, and mystery, I guess, around Bitcoin and how it was developed and who created it, Hal Finney was one of the guys in the very early days of Bitcoin, the small community. And so this is what he said 30 years ago today. Here we are faced with the problems of loss of privacy. So this would have been when the internet was first getting going. Creeping computerization, massive databases, and more centralization. And digital cash offers a completely different direction to go in. One which puts power in the hands of the individuals rather than the governments and the corporations. The computer can be used as a tool to liberate and protect people rather than control them. So that was 30 years ago today. I thought it was really cool just how he was able to foresee how the internet would be used and monopolized by the governments and these big corporations, as we've seen happen so far. He's pretty bang on. So I thought that was pretty cool how he kind of foreshadowed everything. But the point here is that he sees Bitcoin as a way to liberate and protect people. And not only Bitcoin, but he believes that that's how the internet should have been. And I think that we still have the ability to do that. And I see things moving more and more in that direction every day, regardless of what the government says and the federal banks. I see eventually us using computers, technology, the internet through Starlink and Bitcoin to actually liberate people and protect them from other people having their data and their control. So that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that one. And it kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about right here, using the internet and using technology to control people. So this is from Bitcoin Magazine. Oh, there's Charlie Munger too. Says he likes central bankings and hates Bitcoin promoters. Okay, Charlie. So breaking. So it says the global banking giants are starting a 12-week digital dollar pilot with the Federal Reserve of New York. And if you're watching this channel, you probably have heard of central bank digital currencies. But I'm hoping to maybe expand a little bit and help you understand it a little bit better and how it relates to Bitcoin and how it's basically the exact opposite of what Bitcoin intends to do for people through cash or through the digital dollar. The central bank digital currency, which is also known as the CBDCs, is programmable money issued by the central banks and is essentially our current monetary system, just without the cash, the physical cash. So they're going to have a lot more control. And that's what we're going to be talking about right away in the programmable sense, that they can actually program this money to do whatever they want with it, which includes spending limits, which they're talking about with the digital euro. So spending limits, if you exceed a certain amount over your monthly limit, those transactions are going to be shared with the central banks. I forget what it is, 1,000 euros to avoid having their transaction data recorded by the European central banks. So this programmable money, central bank digital currency in Europe, they're testing it out in the States as well as Europe. They're talking about spending limits. And so they're going to be able to control how much you can spend. They're going to be able to control who you can spend it on, which vendors you can deal with and transact with. So if I wanted to buy something from a company that the central bank didn't necessarily agree with what they're doing, they would just prevent that transaction from going through. And to take things even further, the Chinese digital yuan, which China is very hush-hush, so I don't know the accuracy of any of this information coming out of China. But from what I've heard personally from listening to different people in the industry, is that they're using the Chinese digital yuan. They actually are able to decrease the value of the dollar, the balance. And so what does that mean? It means they don't want you saving money, and if they want you spending money. So let's consider an example here. So the Chinese government, with whatever social program that they're advocating for right now, they send all their citizens $100 worth of digital yuan. And they want you spending that money. They don't want you saving it. They don't want you to store your wealth. They want you spending it this month. So at the end of the month, if you don't actually spend that $100, it decreases to be $90. And after 2 months or 3 months, if you still have that money in there, it drops down to $80 or $70. And then over time, it goes to zero. So they're encouraging spending and discouraging saving. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out here, is the fact that with this digital currency, the central bank digital currency, it's programmable money. They have the ability to control how much you spend, who you spend it on, what you use it to buy with, and they have the ability to decrease the value of it if you're not spending it in their allotted time frame. This ties a lot into some things that have been happening in the world and the passports and the digital passports and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to get into that today. That might be another episode talking about the people who are behind this stuff. But the point that I wanted to drive home is that the central bank digital currencies is much different than Bitcoin itself. And even CNBC here and the 21 million news network, I think, is a lot more trustworthy than CNBC. But even they admit that the digital yuan or digital currency is not like Bitcoin. They say Bitcoin is a so-called decentralized cryptocurrency. That means that it is not controlled by any central authority like a central bank, unlike the digital yuan, which will be used by the People's Bank of China, I think, or something like that. So they say it in a roundabout way, in their way of saying it, the so-called decentralized cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. But they even point out the fact that it's much different than Bitcoin. They understate it, obviously, but they realize that it's totally different than Bitcoin. And that ties into this next chart as well. So I'm going to have some coffee here. Just take a quick second to appreciate how good this graphic is. This is a flow chart. It's actually from May 11th, 2020, but it was a friendly reminder sent out by GG yesterday. Very easy to understand. Is this good for Bitcoin? And that's the question, whether it relates to FTX, whether it relates to the cryptocurrency exchanges and leaving your Bitcoin on there, the central bank digital currencies, everything that we've been experiencing lately as part of this transition into the new modern economy, we're seeing the downsides of all this and the Ponzi schemes and the criminality and the central bank digital currencies and the control that they want over people. And all of that is good for Bitcoin because people are seeing it, they're experiencing it, and they have to do that in order to fully understand the value of Bitcoin, the value of the decentralized network that comes with Bitcoin, and the value of the fixed supply, 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. So whatever it may be that we're experiencing firsthand, and the downsides of all that is good for Bitcoin because it's opening people's eyes, It's opening people's eyes to the value of Bitcoin every single day, over and over, regardless of what it is. It's good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a better alternative to basically anything that we've been living through in my lifetime anyways. So let's end this show. Let's end the second ever 21 Milli news network on a lighter note. This is a comic. It's called The Littlest Hodler, I think. The author is Lena Seach. And she's pointing out here the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. So I just talked about the difference between Bitcoin and central bank digital currencies. She did a graphic here explaining the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. And I love these comics of The Little Hodler because they explain in a very simple way the basics of Bitcoin in a comic version. And myself personally, I wouldn't say I'm a comic book nerd, but I really enjoyed Calvin and Hobbes and a few other comics when I was a kid. So I love these Little Hodler comics. So it's talking about Bitcoin, everybody promoting their cryptocurrency as the next Bitcoin. And then it turns out to be a Ponzi scheme like FTX was. There's a ton of different circumstances that we've seen through the years, especially recently, pointing out the fact that Bitcoin is so much different than cryptocurrency or crypto. And I think that as we move on here, as we see more of these exchanges, more of these Ponzi cryptos go down in flames, I think that people, again, will realize the importance of Bitcoin. So I'll stop sharing this now. If you want to check that out, her thing is Lena Seach. She has a bunch of she has merch now too. It's like little plush characters of the Little Hodler holding a little Bitcoin. So I thought that was very cool and cute and a good way to understand Bitcoin in comic book form. So let's wrap things up here. It's already been 20 minutes. I appreciate you if you stayed on this long. Once again, if you've been watching these episodes, so far we've been mostly focused on Bitcoin. That wasn't the original intent of this channel. It's just that I feel a need to get this information out there as soon as we can to help people protect any amount that they put into Bitcoin so far. And I think that that's the most important thing, is keeping things very simple, very basic, explaining people how to do that, move their Bitcoin off of the exchanges. And so as we progress here, we'll be talking about different things within the geopolitical world, the finance world, and a bunch of other things. But for now, it's been mostly Bitcoin. Anyways, once again, appreciate you a lot. Please like the video, make sure to subscribe, and share it with a few friends who you think might be interested in learning a little bit more or getting into Bitcoin. I think the more people that see this, that we bring into Bitcoin, because we're going to have a choice soon, whether that's in the next couple months or the next couple years, we're going to have the choice between going down the digital central bank, digital dollar path, or the Bitcoin path, the decentralized path. So the more people that we can help with this and educate people and get people into it, I think that the better off we'll be down the road. So that's where I'll leave it today. Appreciate you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.